Hey there, amazing fans! Before we dive into today's drama, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to us. Now, welcome to another relaxing moment with Suga Stories. Grab a seat, sit back, relax, and let's journey into the story together. The rain hadn't stopped in 2 days. It painted streaks across Leah Hart's window like tears the sky couldn't hold in. Somewhere far below, the city kept moving, sirens in the distance, the glow of car lights reflecting on puddles, the occasional rumble of a passing bus. But up here, in her cramped second-story apartment, time had slowed to a crawl. Leah sat cross-legged on her couch, cocooned in a faded gray blanket, her laptop glowing against the darkness. The only other light came from a small, desk-sized lamp that buzzed faintly. On the screen, a paused video showed her sister, Camilla Hart, eyes wide, lips slightly parted, frozen in time. Leah had stopped the playback mid-frame, right when Camilla's expression shifted from composed to something else. Something almost like fear. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about making people believe you are. That was the last thing she'd said in the final video she ever posted. It had gone viral. Not for its message. Not for the makeup tutorial it began with, but because 3 days later, Camilla disappeared. Just vanished. No trace. No goodbye. No body. Leah reached over and took a shaky sip of now cold coffee. She didn't care. Her stomach twisted with a familiar dread, a grief she had never managed to name properly. Camilla had always been more than her sister. She was a force of nature. Beautiful, magnetic, chaotic. The kind of person people worshipped or hated, or both. And Leah had always stood quietly behind her. The forgotten sister. The quiet one. The one teachers liked for her neat handwriting. The one who never got invited to parties. The one who knew how to disappear without ever leaving. She clicked play again. Camilla's voice filled the room like a ghost returning to haunt. You ever wonder what people would say at your funeral? I think about it all the time. Maybe that's narcissistic. Maybe it's survival. I built an empire out of attention. I could get thousands of people to watch me breathe, but none of them knew me. Not really. Leah stared. She had watched this video at least 50 times since it resurfaced last month. It had auto-uploaded from Camilla's backup cloud, a hidden cache she'd never publicly revealed. Leah had gotten the link through a fan forum. Someone had downloaded it before it was taken down. The internet said it was fake. Edited. A deep fake, some claimed. Leah knew better. This was Camilla. This was real. And buried inside those final words, those eyes that flicked nervously toward the door every few seconds, Leah sensed a message. A cry for help disguised as a confession. Camilla Hart was born to be seen. Growing up, Camilla had always commanded attention. At 7, she organized neighborhood fashion shows. At 12, she was already experimenting with hair color and bold eyeliner. By 15, she had thousands of followers on MySpace. By 18, she'd become a full-blown YouTube star. And Leah? Leah spent that same summer volunteering at the local library and collecting pressed flowers. Their parents had died when Leah was 9. A rainy night. A sharp curve. A truck that didn't brake in time. Camilla took it hard. Harder than Leah ever realized at the time. Their grandmother took them in, but Camilla grew up fast, too fast. She turned grief into fuel and fame into armor. But even armor cracks. Leah remembered the day she first saw the cracks. It was a month before Camilla vanished. She had called Leah in a panic, a rare thing. Someone's watching me, Camilla had said, voice low and trembling. I think I made a mistake. A big one. What kind of mistake? I let someone in. He was intense. Smart. Too smart. He made me feel seen at first. Then he started guessing where I was going. What I was wearing. What I was thinking. Camilla, who? His name's Dorian. Dorian Vale. But that's not the name on his profile. Just what he told me in private messages. It was the last serious conversation they had. Leah had wanted to help. She'd begged Camilla to go to the police. Camilla had laughed brittle, high, terrified. The police won't help. He hasn't done anything. He's just watching. Always watching. 3 weeks later, Camilla's car was found abandoned at the edge of a pier. Her phone broken was found in a trash can a block away. No signs of struggle. No fingerprints. No footage. Just an eerie void where a vibrant, noisy, larger-than-life woman had once stood. The internet feasted on the mystery. And Leah? Leah quietly unraveled. For months, Leah couldn't leave the house. She quit her job at the bookstore. She canceled her classes. She slept in Camilla's old hoodie and spent nights scouring the internet for clues no one believed existed. Then, after a while, people moved on. The news cycle lost interest. Camilla's accounts were memorialized. The search stopped. But Leah never did. She downloaded every photo, archived every post, hired a data recovery service to retrieve messages from Camilla's cloud, bought burner phones, learned how to trace IPs, made burner accounts, set up alerts for any mention of the name Dorian Vale. And now, 2 years later, she had something chilling. A string of private messages between Camilla and a user who called himself at Veil in Shadow. Some of the messages were mundane, cryptic poetry, references to classic films, compliments about her smile, her eyes, the way she paused before answering. But some were different. Red isn't your color, but you wear it like a threat. He was in your bathroom at 2:14 a.m. The toothbrush moved. You didn't notice? Why do you lie so easily? Who taught you that? You think this is a game. It's not. Leah felt her stomach turn. She had printed these out, held them in trembling hands, memorized them like scripture. She even went to the police with them once. They dismissed her. No evidence of criminal behavior. Camilla had never filed a formal complaint. The account was deleted. No paper trail. But now things were different. Because 2 nights ago, at Veil in Shadow posted again. And this time, he wasn't hiding. Leah had created the identity before she even admitted she would use it. Ivy Breyer. Age 27. Hometown, Portland. Digital artist. Loves old cinema and indie music. Posts curated moody photos. Writes poems about loneliness. It was the kind of girl Dorian would notice. The kind of girl Camilla used to be online. She uploaded 5 pictures, not of herself, but of a model with a similar build whose face was always half-turned, hidden behind strands of hair or sunglasses. She filled the Instagram with vague captions, "Some wounds look like poetry, only shadows know the truth, do you feel watched?" Then she followed at Veil in Shadow. He followed back within 10 minutes. Then came the message. Ivy Breyer. A name like a wound wrapped in silk. You write like someone who's seen the other side of silence. Leah's heart pounded. She waited a full hour before replying. Maybe I have. Or maybe I just like to pretend. The reply was instant. Pretending is a form of truth. People lie most beautifully when they're afraid. Her hands trembled. This was it. She had made contact. She was stepping into the fire, willingly, knowingly. But she had to know. What happened to Camilla? And who was this man? That night, Leah lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed beside her, another message from Dorian. She didn't open it right away. She stared into the dark. Camilla's photo sat on the nightstand, framed in silver. A candid shot from the last Thanksgiving they spent together. Camilla in oversized sunglasses, laughing, holding up a mimosa. Leah remembered how she'd hated how she looked in that picture, like someone's sidekick, she'd said. But now she cherished it. Now she was all that was left. Leah took a deep breath and whispered, "I'm coming for the truth, Cam. No matter what it is." She finally picked up the phone. The message read, "I never believed you were dead. You're just hiding under another name. Aren't you?" Her blood ran cold. She hadn't said anything that would indicate she was Camilla. Hadn't slipped. Hadn't hinted. But somehow, Dorian knew. Or thought he did. Leah's reply was slow, measured. "You see ghosts where others see shadows. Who do you think I am?" The typing dots blinked. And blinked. And blinked. Then finally, "Someone I loved. Someone I destroyed. Maybe I'll destroy you too." She didn't reply. She didn't sleep. But for the first time in 2 years, she felt alive. Leah had combed through Camilla's online presence more times than she could count, but this time felt different. She sat cross-legged on her floor, surrounded by a halo of old hard drives, backup phones, and printouts. It was nearly 2 a.m., and the only light came from her laptop screen, painting her tired face in hues of blue and white. It had been 9 months since her sister vanished. 9 months of silence. Of half-hearted police calls, vague news reports, and fake leads from tabloids that only cared about Camilla's beauty, not her humanity. Leah didn't believe in closure. She believed in data. And finally, something pinged. A string of strange direct messages on Camilla's long-abandoned Instagram account. They weren't in her inbox. They were in the hidden message requests folder, unopened, unaccepted. Yet somehow, Camilla had responded. Leah's breath caught in her throat. The sender's profile name was cryptic, Vale Dorian 1987. No profile picture. 0 followers. No bio. But the messages? They were something else. You think you hide it well. But the sadness bleeds through the cracks in your captions. You remind me of a woman who once kissed me like she was starving, then disappeared like she'd never existed. Camilla, if you leave again without telling me the truth, I won't forgive you. Leah stared at the messages, her heart pounding. This wasn't idle flirting. It wasn't a fanboy being weird. It was something darker, deeper, personal. And the way Camilla had responded, Leah clicked open a reply from her sister. You're reading too much into things. I'm not your storybook girl. Another one. Stop pretending you see me. You don't. You only see who you want me to be. But they hadn't stopped talking. The thread went back and forth, slow at first, then gaining intensity. It wasn't just messaging. It was psychological warfare with a romantic sheen. Until one final message. Dated 3 days before Camilla vanished. You don't get to vanish, Camilla. Not before you tell me the truth. No reply after that. Just silence. Leah's hands trembled on the keyboard. She'd found him. Whoever this Dorian Vale was, he was the thread. The shadow lurking behind the last few weeks of Camilla's life. And Leah was going to pull it. She couldn't contact him as Leah. That was out of the question. So she created a new identity. She used a VPN. Encrypted her IP. Created a fake email. Downloaded a voice modulator app. She wasn't taking any chances. Her name was Ivy Sinclair. Profile private. No posts. Just a black and white photo of a rose in a glass bottle. No bio. No links. She waited 2 days before messaging him. I read your words. They cut. It was vague. Open-ended. Enough to pique curiosity without exposing herself. He didn't reply immediately. But 2 hours later, I didn't write them for you. But I found them. Who are you? She paused. Then typed. Someone who understands what it means to feel unseen. He didn't reply for 3 days. Leah nearly gave up. Then on the 4th night, at exactly 11:13 p.m., she got the message. Let's see if you bleed like she did. Their conversation began cautiously. Leah, as Ivy, responded with cryptic sadness, layered with curiosity. She never used Camilla's name. Never mentioned specifics. But she let herself feel. It was the first time she'd felt anything in months. Dorian responded like a man used to hiding behind riddles. His messages were laced with melancholy and menace. People talk about heartbreak like it's romantic. They forget it can also be surgical, slow, exact, clinical. Did she leave you? Ivy asked once. No. She took me apart piece by piece, then disappeared with all the instructions. He never called Camilla by name. Leah wasn't sure if that was strategy or pain. Either way, she pushed deeper. Sometimes they spoke about literature. Poe, Plath, obscure Eastern European poets who wrote about ghost women and hunger. Other times he asked personal questions. Do you believe in justice, Ivy? Only when it hurts. Then we might get along just fine. Leah wasn't sure when it stopped being a trap and started feeling like a connection. But somewhere along the way, she started looking forward to the messages. By the 2nd week, their chats had taken on a rhythm. Leah would open her phone and see his name, or rather, Vale. And her heart would skip. One night, he sent a voice note. She hesitated before pressing play. The voice was nothing like she expected. Measured. Fragile even. Like a man with scars who had learned to talk in whispers. There are nights, he said, where I lie awake thinking about all the versions of me that died the moment someone left. Leah couldn't breathe. She knew it was dangerous. She knew he might be manipulative. Might be lying. Might be a predator. But he also sounded like someone drowning, and somehow, she wanted to reach him. Their chats turned longer. More intense. She crafted Ivy into something specific, beautiful, broken, poetic. A mirror of Camilla, but not a copy. And Dorian responded with increasing intimacy. You remind me of someone. But not in a painful way. In a haunting way. Is that a good thing? It's the only kind of thing that ever stays. Leah started recording everything. Messages, timestamps, voice notes. She built a digital dossier. She kept telling herself this was an investigation. But she also started dressing differently. Listening to music Dorian mentioned. Rereading books he referenced. She was becoming Ivy, even when she wasn't messaging. One night he asked, "Do you think it's possible to love a ghost?" "What kind of ghost?" "The kind that looks like someone else, but talks like your soul." She didn't answer right away. When she finally did, she said, "I think some ghosts never die. They just wait." Dorian sent a message immediately. "Camilla used to say something like that." Leah froze. "What?" She said, "Grief doesn't leave. It learns to dress like memory." That was something Camilla had written in her private journal. There was no way he could have known unless Camilla had shared her real self with him. Leah stared at the screen for a long time. Was it possible Camilla had loved him? Leah started digging deeper into Dorian's digital footprint. He had no social media except that cryptic Instagram account. No LinkedIn. No Twitter. Not even a Facebook profile. But she eventually found a forum account on an obscure philosophy website. Username, veil.d. There he had written long essays, all under the category loss and identity. In one post, dated a year ago, he wrote, "There are people who don't vanish. They echo." She echoes. In words, in mirrors, in every woman who uses sadness as seduction. Leah read the post 5 times. He was writing about Camilla. Or Ivy. Or both. Or her? Was he obsessed with her sister? Or with the persona both sisters seemed to have worn? Suddenly, Leah felt like a marionette in someone else's play. She'd stepped into her sister's ghost without realizing she was already trapped inside it. Dorian's messages grew more intense. He began asking to meet. "I need to see you. I don't meet people I barely know. You already know me better than anyone else. That's what scares me." She tried to stall. Change the subject. But he persisted. "I won't hurt you, Ivy. I'm not afraid of you." "Then what?" "I'm afraid of what I might feel." That silenced him. He didn't message for 24 hours. When he returned, he said, "Camilla once said that to me. Before she kissed me. It felt like a knife." Leah stared at the screen, her heart aching in confusion. Camilla had kissed him. Camilla had said the same line. Was everything Leah had with him just a recycled echo? Or was he telling the truth? Then one night Dorian asked, "Do you believe in parallel lives?" "Yes. I think you're her second chance." "Whose?" "Camilla's." "Why?" "Because you say the things she never could. But I know it's still her underneath." Leah dropped her phone. Her hands trembled. Was he hallucinating? Was he projecting? Or did he know? Suddenly, everything spiraled. Who was she now? Leah? Ivy? Camilla's shadow? Or something else entirely? Leah's messages to Dorian had taken on a rhythm. Slow, careful, poetic. Every word was calculated, every ellipsis a lure, every emoji a breadcrumb in a digital labyrinth she was still pretending to control. It had started with a mission. A clear goal. She would lure Dorian in, earn his trust, get him talking. And then? She'd find proof. Confession. Contradiction. Something that would shine a light on the dark corners of Camilla's disappearance. But Now she was 3 weeks into nightly messages. And the lies didn't feel like lies anymore. They felt like diary entries with an audience of one. He messaged her every evening around 11 p.m. Not before. Not after. Always precisely at the hour where loneliness felt sharpest. And each message from him wasn't just a text, it was a whisper across dimensions. Dorian, sometimes I feel like I dreamed you. Like I made you up because the real world couldn't offer something so precise. Ivy, Leah, what if you did? What if I'm just a dream you need to let go of? Dorian, then I'll keep sleeping. Forever if I have to. Leah reread those words over and over again. They terrified her. Because somewhere in the folds of them, she felt something real. By day, Leah was still Leah. Quiet, withdrawn, cautious. She worked remotely for a digital content agency, proofreading medical articles no one would ever read. She shopped late at night to avoid running into people who might recognize her as Camilla's sister. And she kept a whiteboard on her wall with timelines, message threads, screenshots, all color-coded, all pointing toward one name. Dorian Vale. But by night, she was Ivy Breyer. And Ivy was magnetic, mysterious, fragile but untouchable. She shared curated photos, candlelight over poetry books, windows streaked with rain, red lipstick on coffee mugs. She wrote captions like spells. Trust is a lie we tell to avoid loneliness. He said my sadness looked beautiful in the moonlight. Some monsters don't hide in closets. They sit across from you and ask how your day was. And Dorian responded to every single one. He didn't just message. He dissected. He saw meaning in her photos. He quoted obscure novels. He sent her voice notes that sounded like confessions whispered in the dark. And slowly, Leah felt her grip slipping. There were nights she wanted to delete everything. To stop lying. To come clean. But then he would send a message like, I used to be someone else, before her. She broke me open and let everything rot. But when I read your words, Ivy, I don't feel broken anymore. And Leah would freeze. Because her was Camilla. And Leah was pretending to be someone Camilla never was. One night, Leah sat in her bedroom with the lights off, scrolling through her sister's old private journals. Not the ones she published on her blog, but the ones Leah had found in a locked drawer under her bed after the disappearance. Camilla had written obsessively in the weeks leading up to her vanishing. He knows too much. It's like he can see through the screen into me. I lied to him. I thought I was in control. I never was. He asked if I ever faked who I was. I laughed. But inside I panicked. I think he's in love with someone I pretended to be. I think he's dangerous. I think I'm not far behind falling for him too. Leah read that last line again and again. It mirrored how she felt now. Was this the same cycle? The same trap? Or worse, was Leah becoming the very thing Camilla once feared? On a Thursday night, 3 weeks into their growing intimacy, Dorian sent a message that made Leah's blood run cold. I dreamt of you. You were standing in a field of glass. Bleeding. But you were laughing. And behind you, who was her? Who? Leah replied, fingers trembling. Camilla. She nearly dropped her phone. What was she doing? She was whispering something I couldn't hear. And then she pointed at you. At me? Just, I think she was trying to warn me. For nearly 5 minutes, Leah didn't respond. She stared at the screen like it had grown claws. Was this coincidence? Or was Dorian testing her? She forced herself to type. Why would she warn you? Because she lied. And I loved her. And when someone you love lies to you, it changes you. Maybe she had a reason. She did. And I forgave her. But she still disappeared. 2 days later, Leah agreed to a phone call. She hadn't meant to. It had started as a joke. What if your voice ruins the illusion? She'd written. Then I guess we both wake up, he replied. So they scheduled a time. Midnight. She paced the room for an hour beforehand. Heart thundering. Palms sweating. Phone on silent, screen face down. Then it rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello. Silence. Then, Ivy. His voice was soft. And trembling. like someone who'd just come in from the cold. She couldn't speak at first. He did. I've been waiting to hear your voice. You have it now, she whispered. The beat. I thought it would be different. How so? This, real. She swallowed hard. Do you always say things like that? No. Just when they matter. They talked for an hour. About books. Dreams. Regret. He told her about his mother, how she used to sit in a chair by the window every evening, staring into nothing. She was waiting for my father, he said, but he never came back. So she died with her eyes still searching. Leah wanted to ask if he blamed her. Instead, she said, "Do you think she would have been happier if she hadn't waited?" He didn't answer. The silence was a poem in itself. Later that week, Leah uncovered something she hadn't seen before, an old password-protected zip file on Camilla's external hard drive. The name? Betrayal. It took hours, but she cracked it using the name of their childhood dog, Muffin07. Inside, there were videos. Unlisted vlogs Camilla had recorded privately. Confessionals, mostly. Late-night whisperings into a webcam. No makeup. Just raw. In one, she was crying. He said he loved me, but not me. The version of me I made up. Ivy wasn't just a name. She was a mask. And now I think I made her too real. Leah stopped the video. What? She hit rewind. Camilla had said, Ivy. The name Leah had randomly picked for her fake persona. But Camilla had used it first. Leah felt cold. Had Dorian been in love with Ivy before Leah? Was she just stepping into Camilla's creation? That night, Leah couldn't message him. She sat in the dark, rewatching the video on loop. Had Dorian known it was her all along? Had she stepped into a story already written, destined to end the same way? The next day he messaged. You disappeared. Are you okay? She replied. I need to know something. Anything. Who is Ivy to you? A long pause. Ivy was the name she used when she was afraid. When she needed to be someone else. You remind me of her. But you're not her. You're different. So who am I? The question isn't who you are. It's who you want me to believe you are. Her fingers froze. She typed. Deleted. Typed again. I'm tired of pretending. Then stop. I'm not who you think I am. But, because neither am I. That night, Leah met him. In person. Against every rule. Every warning sign. They agreed on a public place, an old bookstore cafe tucked between two brick buildings in the city's arts district. Leah wore sunglasses and a hoodie. Dorian arrived in a long coat, scarf wrapped tight, eyes scanning the crowd like a man trained to be paranoid. When he saw her, he smiled. Not like a villain. Like a man recognizing someone he once dreamed about. They sat. Ordered tea. Pretended this wasn't madness. For 30 minutes, they talked like they had known each other forever. Then Dorian leaned in. You're not Ivy. Leah's heart stopped. You're Leah. Camilla's sister. She didn't speak. I knew the moment you said that line, the one from her old video. Only someone close would know it. Then why did you come? She whispered. He sat back. Because I needed to see if you were real. If any of this was. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean to, I was just trying to. I know, he interrupted softly. I know why you came. And I don't blame you. But I lied. About everything. And so did I. Silence. What did she do to you? Leah asked. He looked away. She used me. Played with me. Made me fall in love with someone who didn't exist. She created Ivy as a character. A version of herself that was softer, needier. And when I fell for Ivy, Camilla punished me for not loving her real self. Leah was stunned. She wasn't in danger? She was the danger. The message came at 3:47 a.m. Just 2 words. She's alive. Leah stared at her screen for several seconds, the faint blue light from her phone washing over her stunned expression. Her heart thudded against her ribs like it wanted out, like it couldn't bear to be inside her chest for another moment of this reality. The sender was unknown, the number encrypted, bouncing off a signal tower in Portugal. No name. No context. Just those two impossible words. She's alive. Camilla. Leah read it again and again and again. Then she dropped the phone onto her sheets like it had burned her. In the week that followed, Leah became a ghost herself. She stopped responding to Dorian. She stopped responding to friends, emails, even her boss at the publishing house who'd been surprisingly patient through her extended leave. She barely ate. She barely spoke. Every fiber of her being was consumed by one thought. If Camilla is alive, then everything I've believed, felt, and done in these past 9 months has been a lie. It didn't take long to trace the signal. Leah had grown increasingly proficient with digital forensics during her late-night sleuthing months. The number had pinged from an art gallery in Lisbon, a tiny space called Galeria Quinto Azul that featured up-and-coming visual artists. Leah didn't hesitate. She booked the next flight to Lisbon. The gallery was tucked into a narrow cobblestone alleyway, hidden between a used bookstore and a bakery that smelled like almond pastries and old wood. Leah walked in slowly, her boots echoing on the tile. The front room was small, quiet, filled with framed sketches of faceless women. Each portrait seemed to be unraveling at the edges, like the artist had started with intention and abandoned it midway through. Leah's eyes landed on one piece titled simply, "Not Her." Her stomach flipped. A middle-aged woman behind the counter glanced up from her sketchpad and offered a polite smile. "Looking for something?" she asked, her accent tinged with Portuguese and something else, maybe French. Leah tried to keep her voice steady. "I received a message that someone I'm looking for might be here. Her name is Camilla. Camilla Breyer." The woman's expression didn't change, but her fingers tightened on the sketchpad. "Downstairs," she said after a pause. "Back room." Leah nodded and walked through the gallery like she was underwater. Her hand trembled as she pushed open the heavy oak door. And there she was. Camilla. Alive. Sitting on a stool, charcoal smeared on her fingers, her long auburn hair tied up in a messy knot. She didn't look shocked to see her sister. In fact, she looked composed. Expectant. "I was wondering how long it would take," Camilla said softly, wiping her hands on a cloth. Leah couldn't speak. She just stared, her throat closed up, her chest rising and falling too fast. Camilla stood and crossed the room slowly. "I guess I should say sorry," she murmured. "But you're not here for apologies, are you?" "No," Leah said, her voice cracking. "I'm here for the truth." The truth was ugly. It came out over 2 hours, broken across cups of tea, awkward silences, and a series of small, almost unnoticeable sighs from Camilla. The kind of sigh someone makes when they're exhausted by the weight of who they are. Camilla had faked her disappearance. But not for reasons Leah had ever imagined. Dorian, she explained, had never stalked her. Not in the criminal sense. He had been obsessed, yes, but she had fed it, cultivated it. They had met on a poetry forum. Camilla had created an alias, Helena Mora, a self-destructive muse persona she wore like perfume. She and Dorian had struck up an intense digital relationship before ever exchanging real names. It had started as fun. But then it became something else. Something more dangerous. "I gave him the version of me he needed," Camilla said. "The tragic, seductive mystery. I knew exactly what he wanted to see, and I gave it to him." Leah's hands clenched in her lap. "But why? Why play with him like that?" Camilla looked out the window at the Lisbon street. "Because I wanted to matter. Not just be another pretty girl with 1,000,000 likes. I wanted to haunt someone." The words made Leah flinch. "And you didn't think that maybe, just maybe, he was a real person?" she asked, voice rising. Camilla turned back. "He was. But so was I. Or at least I thought I was. Until it got out of control." Dorian had started demanding to meet. He had sent her a hand-bound book of poems, verses he'd written for Helena. That's when Camilla panicked. She ghosted him. Blocked him on everything. But she couldn't take the guilt. Not after months of playing with his mind. So she invented the stalker story. "It was easier," she admitted. "It made me the victim. People rallied around me. Including you." Leah shook her head in disbelief. "You let me believe you were dead. I needed to disappear. I needed to start over. The only way to escape the lies was to kill the girl who told them. Camilla reached for Leah's hand, but Leah pulled back. And Dorian? She asked. I don't know what happened to him after that. But I assumed he moved on. He was intense, but not dangerous. At least, not to anyone but himself. Leah stared down at the gallery floor. Her world was tilting. She had spent months mourning a sister who wasn't dead. She had fallen in love with a man she thought might be a monster. She had created a fake identity, risked everything, and all of it was built on lies. Camilla leaned forward, voice gentler now. Did you get close to him? Leah didn't answer. Camilla exhaled through her nose. Oh, Leah. Ivy, Leah said coldly. He knew me as Ivy. You became her? Camilla whispered. Leah nodded. I needed to find out what happened. I thought he hurt you. But now I realize. She trailed off. Camilla finished the sentence for her. You realize I hurt him. Later that night, Leah sat alone in a Lisbon cafe, her journal open in front of her. She was trying to make sense of everything, but the words didn't come. Camilla's face haunted her. Not because she was dead, but because she wasn't. Alive and unrepentant. Beautiful and broken. Always the storm, never the shelter. Leah pulled out her phone and opened her last message from Dorian. He had sent it 2 days ago. I keep thinking I see her in the mirror. But it's not her anymore. It's someone else. Leah typed. She deleted. Typed again. Deleted. Finally, she settled on a single line. I found her. But she was never what you thought. She didn't send it. Not yet. She needed time. Time to decide what to do with the truth. Because the truth was more dangerous than the lie. The lie had kept them searching. The truth could shatter them both. Leah returned to London with a weight in her chest that hadn't existed before Lisbon. Not grief. Not guilt. But clarity, the kind that hurts more than it heals. Camilla's lies had threaded themselves through every corner of her life, distorting everything Leah had believed about family, love, and identity. She thought coming home would bring peace. It didn't. The flat felt colder now. Her kitchen was sterile. Even the light filtering through the windows felt different. Harsher, like the world had grown less forgiving in her absence. She paced the living room with her phone in hand. She'd written 100 drafts of the message to Dorian. And deleted every single one. How do you tell someone that the pain that defined them wasn't real? Or worse, that it was manufactured by someone who never deserved their devotion in the first place? I found Camilla. She's alive. And you never stalked her. She used you. It sounded monstrous on the screen. But truth often did. She finally sent one line. I know the whole story now. Can we meet? The reply came an hour later. Name the place. They met at a quiet rooftop bar overlooking the Thames. The city below glowed with false serenity, the kind of postcard beauty that never hinted at the betrayals playing out behind its closed doors. Dorian looked thinner. More tired than she remembered. But his eyes were steady, cautious. Leah approached the table slowly, her heart pounding in her chest like a trapped animal. She'd spent months decoding this man, playing roles, hiding behind false identities. Now, here she was, exposed. He stood as she reached him. Leah, he said. The sound of her real name on his lips was like a blade. She nodded. Dorian. They sat. Neither spoke for a while. She sipped water. He stirred the coffee he hadn't touched. Finally, she said it. I went to Lisbon. His hand froze. She didn't wait for him to speak. She's alive. Camilla. I met her. Dorian closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was no anger. No surprise. Just exhaustion. I always thought she might be, he murmured. Not logically. Emotionally. Like, part of me never believed the story was real. Leah's throat tightened. It wasn't. She told him everything. The alias. The manipulation. The disappearance. Camilla's confession. When she was finished, he sat back slowly, exhaling a breath that seemed to come from some deep, buried place inside him. I knew it, he said quietly. Not at first. But after a while, I started questioning what was real and what I'd invented. Whether she was the one haunting me, Or if I'd created my own ghost. Leah blinked. You never told anyone. You never tried to clear your name. He laughed bitterly. Clear it to who? The internet? You don't win that kind of war. Once you're the villain in someone's story, it doesn't matter what the truth is. She looked at him. I'm sorry. I believed it too. He glanced at her. But you didn't stop there. You became someone else. I needed to know, she said softly. I thought you might have killed her. Dorian looked away. And yet you still kept talking to me. She couldn't answer that. Not honestly. He gave her a tired smile. You didn't trust me. But you understood me. That was worse. They sat in silence again. The city buzzed below, unaware of the two lives unraveling quietly above its rooftops. Leah finally spoke. You don't have to forgive her. But you deserve to be free of her. Dorian nodded slowly. And you? She met his gaze. I need to be free of both of you. The article dropped 3 days later. Leah published it under her real name. The Woman Who Vanished Herself. How My Sister Faked a Stalker and Shattered 3 Lives. It wasn't vengeance. It wasn't even catharsis. It was truth. She laid it bare. The lies, the aliases, the manipulation. She didn't spare herself either. She detailed her own descent into deceit. Her relationship with Dorian. Her fabricated identity. Her shame. The story exploded. Some readers were horrified. Some sympathetic. Some called it brave. Others called it betrayal. But no one ignored it. Within days, Camilla became the focus of a media firestorm. She vanished from Lisbon, her gallery closed, her art pulled from exhibitions. She released a single statement. What I created was art. Some truths are uglier than lies. I regret nothing but the pain. Leah never heard from her again. The storm passed as they always do. Leah quit her job at the publishing house and moved out of her flat. She found a small cottage in Brighton, near the sea, and spent her mornings walking the cliffs. Her evenings were quieter now. No screens, no social media, just journals and paperbacks and long, meditative silences. Sometimes she heard from people the story had touched. Women who'd believed lies. Men who'd been cast as villains. Siblings estranged by secrets. She wrote back when she could. Not always, but often. And once, months after the article had fallen out of trending lists and Twitter hashtags, she received a letter. A real one. Handwritten. No return address. I don't know if I ever loved Helena. Or if I just loved the way she made me feel. But I know that what I felt with Ivy, with you, was real. And that's what hurts the most. That even in your truth, I was still just a shadow. But I'm learning how to stand in the sun again. Thank you for showing me where it was. She didn't cry. She smiled. It was enough. One late autumn morning, Leah sat on a bench overlooking the waves, a thermos of tea in hand, when a woman sat beside her. She had silver in her hair and laugh lines around her eyes. She wore a coat too thin for the wind. You're Leah Breyer, she said. Leah nodded cautiously. I am. I read your story, the woman said. Twice, actually. Leah waited. The woman looked out at the water. My daughter disappeared 5 years ago. We thought it was a cult. Then drugs. Then, we didn't know what to believe. But after your article, she reached out. Leah turned to her, stunned. She said she read it. The woman went on, her voice trembling. And it made her feel seen. She said she wasn't ready to come home yet. But she wanted us to know she was alive. Leah felt tears prick her eyes. She's alive, the woman whispered, smiling. Thank you. And then she stood and walked away, her coat flapping in the wind. Leah sat there long after she left, the sea crashing below, the sky overcast. That moment was worth everything. Every lie. Every heartbreak. Every loss. Redemption rarely comes wrapped in forgiveness. It comes in fragments, small moments of clarity, of grace, of impact. Leah didn't fix what was broken. She didn't win back her sister. She didn't win Dorian. But she told the truth. And in doing so, she set herself free. And maybe, just maybe, set others free too.